Down and storm. The banners were already up. Not for war, for succession. In the great hall, the court gathered under a sky of iron-grey light. Word had spread quickly. King Toklim would name his heir. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. He has no children, no marriage, no future. At the centre stood Toklim, calm but not untouched by what this meant. Beside him, uncertain but present. She looked smaller in the hall than she ever had before. Not weak, just young. Ginny stood close, watchful, Prince Martin beside her, reading the room like a battlefield. At the far end, Lord Haywool, waiting. Toklim raised his hand. Silence followed. "The House of Fitzroy will not end in chaos," he said. A pause. "I name my heir." Eyes shifted. Expectations sharpened. Toklim turned, not to a general, not to a lord. "To my sister," he said. "Nisha!" The hall erupted. "Impossible! She's a child! This is madness!" Haywool stepped forward immediately. "She is 13, he said, voice cutting through the noise. "She requires a regent. The law is clear." Nisha's hands tightened at her sides. Toklim didn't look away from Haywool. "The law," Toklim said, "was written for control. A beat. I am rewriting it." The room froze. "You would place the kingdom in the hands of a child?" Haywool pressed. "No," Toklim replied. He placed a hand on Nisha's shoulder. "I am placing it in the hands of someone who has not been shaped by fear or pride." Nisha looked up at him, startled. Haywool's expression hardened. "She cannot rule alone." Toklim met his gaze. "She will." A long pause. Then, "Put it to law," Toklim said. The scribes hesitated. Haywool didn't. "Then hear my condition," he said. "If she is to rule without a regent, her authority must be bound. Limits, oversight, council approval on all matters of war and succession." It was a trap, a softer cage. Ginny stepped forward. "You're trying to control her." "I'm trying to protect the kingdom," Haywool replied. All eyes turned back to Toklim. He knew exactly what this was. Control in exchange for stability. A moment passed. Heavy. Then, "Write it," Toklim said. Ginny turned sharply. "Toklim!" "It keeps her safe," he said quietly, a beat, "and it keeps them from tearing her apart the moment I'm gone." The ink, the law was sealed. Nisha, young untested, was now heir, but not entirely free. And Haywool knew it. Far to the north, there was no debate, only movement. Snow crushed beneath thousands of boots, banners cut through the wind, steel marched in rhythm. At the front, Hooligan II, no longer hiding, no longer waiting. "The time for shadows is over," he said. Behind him, the full weight of the Northern Army and more. Mercenaries, turned lords, men who believed in strength over mercy. "Today," he continued, voice carrying over the ranks, "we take back what was stolen." The army roared. Back in the kingdom, the first scout burst into the hall. Breathless, terrified. "They've crossed the divide." Silence. "They're not raiding," he added, a pause. "They're coming for everything." All eyes turned to Toklim. The heir had been named, the law had been changed, and now war had arrived. Toklim looked at Nisha, at Ginny, at the court. Then toward the north. "Prepare the defences," he said. No hesitation, no doubt. Because now everything he had built, everything he had refused to become, was about to be tested. And the final episode? That's where it all collides. Toklim versus Hooligan.